All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Context. I am excited to be joined by Jakub and Lukas from Apify and my co-host Darren Shepard from Obot. And we're gonna have a great talk today. Lots of stuff to cover, and hopefully, really kind of talk through how one company in Apify's case has really embraced MCPs, using them pretty deeply, and show you kind of how they're approaching it. Before we dive into that, a couple just housekeeping bits. The MCP Dev Summit is roaring toward us. I don't know if you got a submission in, guys, to speak, but we had, I want to say, over 700 submissions come in the final tally, which is an insane number. So I just finished like my first batch of 50 reviews yesterday, and I felt pretty good about it. And then I realized there were 650, 670 or whatever it is left. And I was like, geez, that took a long time. So on a positive note, lots of good talks. I mean, honestly, I think I was hoping I could oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And I could this is redundant, this isn't very well written, but it hasn't not been the case. The reality is it's been lots of good talks and lots of good proposals. So we're spending the next 2 weeks head down. A whole bunch of really generous people are reviewing talks and grading them and putting scores next to them. And we should sometime in early February announce the agenda. So if you don't have a ticket yet, I think now's the time. Go register. They just opened the hotel block. I literally booked my hotel last night in the Marriott Marquis. So given the Linux Foundation involvement, this thing is going to be a lot bigger and probably a lot harder to find space. So if you haven't already, get signed up. We are the context has been busy as always since the start of the year. Have had some great talks recently on all sorts of topics. If you're not following us on YouTube, we are on the MCP Dev Summit channel, so you can subscribe there. You'll see all of our talks every week, as well as all of the talks after each of the summits. So the next summit after New York has been announced now, and it is in Amsterdam coming up in September. So we're going to be back in Europe in September, which should be awesome, and super excited to have a chance to get back over. Amsterdam in September sounds perfect. Darren, are you gonna come to that one? You always are hesitant to commit.
I'm hesitant to commit on this one.
You're hesitant to commit on New York. See, you're like, oh, but I could be sitting at home on my computer.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's Amsterdam in September. It's almost perfect. Like, it's going to be great weather. It's like great vibe. Remember when we went to Amsterdam that one time and we stayed in a Airbnb, like the very, very first time we traveled together?
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
The guy warned us about the local drugs. Be careful about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't do the drugs. It was great.
There's some bad heroin going around. Yeah,
that was it. And we were lucky; we didn't get any of the bad heroin, just the good heroin. We were very picky about the heroin we used, and that was
we had local advice.
I mean, that was the best Airbnb host I've ever had. Look! If you're getting heroin, this is who you need to get it from.
The only times I've been to Amsterdam, it's been like cold and rainy. So maybe if it was like actually sunny.
Honestly, you should bring your wife. You should come out in September to Amsterdam. And I was talking to somebody. I'm like, can we find a hotel that's like biking distance, where I can just get up in the morning, have my coffee, have a croissant, bike to the conference, talk about AI.
No,
go out to bike over to a nice dinner. Try not to drink too much, make it back to the hotel, not fall in a canal. So that's
I heard they do not bike at American speeds.
They do not bike at American. So you have to practice.
It's some serious biking. You have to be committed to it can be dangerous for you.
Well, Prague, where Lukas and Jakub are at, also a notoriously great biking city. I've been to Prague a few times, but I've actually never biked in Prague. Do either of you guys bike a lot? Or is Prague also a biking place?
Oh, where did you hear that? No.
I heard it was like kind of good. Is it not too hilly? For biking, like
I wouldn't step on a bike in Prague, but you are absolutely right about Amsterdam. Like, that city is like super optimized for biking. It's so much fun there, like getting around on a bike.
The Prague is not. Oh, I thought Prague was like great for biking. Too
It's the
dangerous, huh?
opposite.
People drive like lunatics.
I wouldn't. Maybe like there are some dedicated like bike lanes or like trails around the city, which are like nice to drive around. But like in the city, in the traffic, no way I'm stepping on a bike in Prague.
All right. Well,
Anyways, hi guys,
no.
great to be here.
take it off the biking planning list, I guess, Darren, for when
Yeah.
we do our biking travel around Europe. All right. Well, with that, guys, why don't we turn the talk over to you? We're really excited to hear a little bit. Honestly, getting an update on Apify is really exciting as well. You guys have been growing really quickly and hearing lots of good things from people about the company. So maybe, Lukas, I know your side on the sort of product marketing side. Jakub, you're the kind of lead engineer on the AI products. Maybe you guys can tell us just a little bit about Apify and walk us through the company.
Yeah, sure. Let's get to it. So once again, hi guys. We're pleasure to be here. I'm Lukas, product marketing manager at the AI team, and Jakub is my AI engineer. He builds the stuff. I then try to sell it. So let's get into it. I mean, so we're gonna do like a brief Apify introduction, so you guys can like get a sense of what we're building here. Then we're gonna launch into our Apify MCP and sandbox demo. Talk a bit about our recently launched agent skills, and then mention the survey that we're running right now that we're trying to get some interesting data from the MCP ecosystem. So what is Apify? We're basically like an ecosystem for web automation tools and tools for AI agents. So we have a store where you can basically get API to pretty much anything, like whatever data you're looking to get across the web, you can probably find it on the Apify store. It's largely community driven, which is like an interesting part of it, because we build some of these, we call them actors. We build some of those ourselves, but more than 90% of these actors are actually built by our community and published on our store. And also, like for developers, publishing actors on Apify Marketplace is a good way to earn some side income. So yeah. Jakub, you might want to add something to that from your perspective as well.
Yeah, and the actors, by the way, are not only the web automation stuff. We do also support, as it's mentioned, MCP servers, AI agents. You can deploy even a Minecraft server on Apify, so you can monetize whatever you want.
Basically, like any piece of software that can be deployed as a Docker image, right? Can be published and run on our infra. So it's like interesting architecture. Well, so we want to do like a bit of a demo here and talk about what we've been working on. So please go ahead and check out our MCP server. You can find the configurator here at mcp.apify.com. There's a link to our GitHub repo. If we'd appreciate if you give us some stars there. And I mean, Jakub is going to now talk you through some of the problems we had while trying to build MCP for Apify, and the challenge that comes with having like 10,000 plus tools, right?
Yeah. So as you know, Apify is a marketplace of tools. There's a lot of them, thousands of them. I think right now 14.
I think more than 14,000.
Yeah, more 14,000. So it's a lot of tools. And we built MCP server that allows you to use the tools and connect Apify with AI agents through the MCP protocol. And we encountered some issues. The major issue is actually discovery. So you cannot fit all the thousands of tools into the LLM context. It wouldn't fit, so it doesn't make sense. So we need to implement a search. So we started with a kind of naive approach where we tried searching and then adding the tools dynamically. So we are, I think, one of the first pioneers that supported dynamic tools addition to the MCP server. So we are changing the tools list at runtime and sending notification to the client. But we encountered major issue, and that is that the most of the client, majority of them, are not supporting this feature, even nowadays. Only client that really supports this feature is VS Code till now. And also there is recently some issues with that. So this approach didn't work. So what we decided to do is we decided to collect the data on the clients, and we created this package called MCP Client Capabilities. So if you go to GitHub, Apify/MCP client capabilities, there is a list of MCP clients, and there is a matrix with what features do they support. So it's a Python package and also NPM package. You can install it. And the idea was that we will install it on our server, check what client actually connects to the MCP server. And if it's the one that is supported and does support the dynamic tool addition, we will serve the dynamic.
Whoa, I think we just lost our friends from Apify.
Oh, yeah.
They were there, and then they were gone.
Yeah.
I think they must have hit some kind of a network issue in Prague, or something happened to the laptop they were working on. Wow.
Oh, they're back.
Hey guys, sorry guys.
You're back. We lost you. You were rolling, Jakub. I almost turned on. I lost your desktop first, Lukas. If you have that back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There was like some
hardware issues.
technical difficulties trying to share my screen. So let's try again.
Screen sharing is so hard.
I wanted to show actually the GitHub repo with the capabilities package, but yeah.
So it's essentially on Apify GitHub. You can install it via NPM or Python. The idea was that you install it into your server, then you check which client is actually connected to your server, and check which capabilities and features are really supported by this client, because there is no way to discover client features as of now in the MCP protocol. So we created this package, but then we thought, hey, maybe the clients will implement the features in the long run. That didn't happen. So we decided to move on. We update this package regularly, but it didn't solve our problem. So we instead created a new tool that there is only one tool that allows you to call every actor from the Apify store. So we don't have to do the dynamic tool addition. There is only one fixed tool, and it allows you to call any actor from the store. So that actually works right now, and it's the go-to solution. Then we decided, hey, okay, or our CEO, Jan, decided, hey, let's build our own client, because major clients, major players like Anthropic didn't implement this feature, and I think still till this day it's not implemented yet. So he vibe coded MCP CLI. So it's a simple CLI MCP client that supports the latest features, and the major selling point is that it's embeddable. So if you are running any agent that can run bash commands, it can use this MCP client. So with this package, you can actually turn your non-MCP agent into an MCP agent. So it just runs bash commands and handles all the MCP connections, tool calling. So it can be used almost anywhere. So you will see it in the demo.
Yeah. So this kind of like follows the principles of the code execution, right? That was like recently there was this article by Anthropic, I think in November, and Cloudflare also had like a I think code mode article or something like that. So we basically took this principle and yeah.
So I'll show you the demo. On my computer, I have opened Apify console.
If we can, guys, switch to Jakub's screen, he should be joined there.
Yeah. So we are there.
Yeah.
So we launched. We are building AI. We are calling it Project AI Sandbox. So it's a container that runs on Apify infrastructure, and it's a sandbox built for AI. Right now, there is a Claude code running. I have prepared a simple prompt that uses our Apify agent skills. We'll get to that later. And it's basically a simple prompt like, hey, scrape social media mentions of Apify from last week and give me some sentiment and summary. So how it works that way. We spawn the sandbox. It has some basic development environment, shell, browser, and stuff. And we also created this actor called Claude Code, which only runs Claude Code. And if you spawn the actor, it will open this web browser with Claude Code, and you can just prompt it, use it to call and orchestrate actors, vibe code, a new actor, or whatever you want, and deploy that on Apify. And so this actor actually uses the sandbox. So we are right now using that for the simple demo of MCP CLI. So this demo also uses MCP CLI. So if you can see here, the Claude code, the agent is actually running the MCPC commands using the Apify MCP server, and right now is using actors for scraping Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and whatever to get the latest news about Apify. So if you want to test it, check this out. But with this, with all of this setup that we have, MCP, sandbox, agents, we also need evaluations.
Yeah, we can switch back to my presentation, please.
So we encountered some issues that we were experimenting with our MCP server, and we are trying the latest new models when they were released by Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, and we learned, hey, these models they do not work that well as the older models. So we were like, hey, we really need evals right now. So our approach was that, hey, let's first try the naive approach, because one of the major pain points was that the model, they weren't using the right tools. So for example, if you ask them to, hey, scrape some social media, they use the generic web search tool instead of the specific Apify scrapers. So we created simple evaluations that we give the LLM. It's not, I wouldn't call it an agent because it doesn't have tools. Just LLM, we give it context, hey, there is these tools available, and here is your task. Pick one tool that you would call as a next tool. And this actually was quite a great approach. So it allowed us to tweak the tool names and descriptions, so the LLMs actually call the right tools, which was sometimes hard and clunky depending on the LLM provider. But this tool really helped. But it was actually not enough for advanced workflows and chaining of the tools. So when the LLM changed the tools, we encountered some issues that it was choosing the wrong tools for these workflows. So we built a new evals that actually I would call agentic. There is an AI agent that is actually connected to our MCP server. It's given a prompt. So for example, hey, scrape me latest post from Instagram or TikTok from this and that person. And we have a scenario evaluation reference. So there is an LLM judge. So the agent runs with the prompt, scrapes all the data it needs, and then we get all the conversation with the summarized tool results. We give it to the judge with a reference. So in the reference, we hint it should correctly find scraper, it should call the scraper, it should retrieve the results correctly and present it to user. The judge is given all this context and evaluates if it passes or not and the reasoning. So this is actual state of the evals as of now in our MCP server. It works quite well for most of the use cases. It's not the best. It could be improved in many ways. I've seen guys building MCP servers that are using, I would call it 3 LLMs approach. So in the workflows, we are using 2 LLMs. One was the agent, given the MCP server prompt and tools, and the second one was the judge. And right now, we keep the judge, but we instead add client agent that basically essentially acts as a chat. So you can think of him as a Claude desktop that you are prompting, and it has the access to the MCP server and the tools. There is the user agent that is given the prompt and scenario, and they talk to each other and prompt each other. So it's more dynamic and it's more human-like interaction that you are, for example, chatting with the MCP server. And this whole conversation then between the client and the user agents is given to the judge. He evaluates it and also selects if it passes or not, and then gives the description. But I would say this is one of the best approaches you can use for evals. Right now, we are not using that yet, but it doesn't solve real bugs or missing features in the MCP clients. So the best solution would be to use actually the real MCP client like VS Code, Claude Desktop, Claude Code, but that would be really hard. So right now, I think this is the best approach. So I just wanted to share the insights about evaluations because I think they are really important, and we were encountering real breaking issues with the latest models, and we had to build them to keep the MCP server working.
Yeah. Maybe you could also talk about how we've recently implemented these long-running tasks, right? And how it kind of lays the foundation for what we're trying to do next with like large data sets.
Yeah. So the state of MCP is that it's great as I would say toy example, but when working with heavy data, it doesn't work that well. And the main issue is you store all the data in the MCP in the LLM context, and it's limited. It's like if you use the latest Gemini's model, you get 1 billion tokens. There is maybe, for example, Llama LLMs which have maybe 10 million, if I'm not mistaken. But still, that's not enough for like big data and large heavy data use cases. So we implemented the latest in one of the latest specs. They introduced in the MCP long-running tasks. So the idea is that the agent actually spawns the tool call. So on our platform, it runs the tool, which can run for example, 10 minutes. And it doesn't immediately, or it shouldn't, in theory, retrieve the results immediately and store it in the context. So it should spawn the task, get the status. Once the task finishes, it can decide, hey, pull data into the context, or ideally, if the client would support it, store it into the files, which would be ideal. But right now, we are not there, and it's the same issue that we encountered with dynamic tools. The client support is it's not there. It's not there yet. Hopefully, it will be there. So what we are working on right now is in combination with the agent skills that we are using and the MCPC. We are reworking the MCP server for more data-heavy oriented use cases. So the idea is that it's still work in progress, but we are iterating the MCPC so that the agent actually doesn't store the results in the context. It uses the file-based approach, so it doesn't clutter the context, and then searches dynamically in the results, and also parses JSON fields from structured content output of the tools instead of dumping them into the text results. So that's what we are building right now, and trying to improve the state of the MCP and usability for these use cases.
Yeah, because from like a business perspective, basically our MCP server, like without the sandboxes and these long-running tasks, it's pretty much like it's great for like experimentation and like testing those different tools and seeing like how like the inputs and outputs are defined and trying to figure out the data mapping, and maybe like giving context to the agent for like then integrating the product into like your platform, for example. But you can't really do, like Jakub just described, you can't really perform any like data-heavy tasks, right? For example, if I scrape, I don't know, like 1,000 Instagram profiles, like these JSON files are like massive, like it will like kill the context window instantly. So the idea is to, and also like the agent would time out before the tasks with the tool even finishes. So the idea is to like have these long-running tasks so the agent can like poll for the results later, and also to delegate like the analysis of these big data sets into some sort of a sandbox, and from where we can then like retrieve like some meaningful results and insights. Now, if I'm not mistaken,
the demo is finished.
Jakub's demo is finished, so we can switch over to his screen.
The Claude Code agent finished running, and it presented some results. So we see that there is some like overall positive sentiment from the last week, and there is some concerns with scaling, and common positive themes are reliability, ease of use, powerful features. So nice. It got some data. For some reason, it didn't scrape that many posts, but yeah, it's still in work in progress. But the main point is that you could use Claude Code for any use case in the sandbox, or just running from your web browser. You can use it for pipe coding, development, orchestrating actors, and that's what using this demo was using the Apify agent skills. So feel free to install. It's still experimental. We are working hard on that and pushing the new and latest use cases.
Yeah, if we can switch over back to mine for a second. I'm just going to briefly show you what these are about. I mean, I'm sure everyone here is aware of like the agent skills. They are like the new thing, right? First it was Agents MD, now for like more complex workflows where you, for example, are combining like even like multiple tools that you want to connect to the agent. The skills seems to be like the ideal framework. So we've also just like today released a package of our own skills, which you can install via the Versal CLI. With this simple command, you need to have the MCP CLI client installed as a prerequisite, and you can get these to go in the Cloud Code or a client of your choice. So yeah, you can find them in this repo here. Community contributions to it are welcome as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much like what we want to show you guys here.
And I just wanted to mention that these agent skills can be also used in the sandbox and cloud collector that I showed you right now in the demo. So you can install any skills. If it's supported by skills.sh, you can install any package you want. So, yeah.
And if you guys want to play around with our MCP server for a bit, you can sign up for free to Apify. You get $5 of platform usage to your account, and if you use this coupon code, you can get extra 30 to like experiment with the platform and with our MCP server. And we'd be happy if you gave us some feedback on it.
Very cool, guys. Thank you so much for walking through that. I'm really curious. So how long has your MCP been available?
We've been working. We started working on the MCP since November last year.
No, the year before.
The year before, yeah, the year before. It's already 2026. So
we jumped on it like pretty early.
Yeah, we jumped on it pretty early, but then we like let it go, and like we really dived deeply. I think in early March, like we went all in. Like, hey, MCP will be the thing. Let's focus on that.
And you guys have been. I mean, you're kind of in this, because of what you used for, because Apify is such a popular scraper. I mean, you have lots of people, I imagine, using it. Do you have some feel for how popular the MCP is, and has it grown in popularity? Is it flatlined? Like, what are you finding in terms of adoption of the MCP?
It's growing steadily, not as much as we'd like to. There's like no like hockey stick takeoff yet, but we think it's because of actually like the usability in production is like I mentioned, because of the fact that the tasks you need to do with our platform are so like data heavy, and you can't really do that in the current state of it. Then
we lost your screen. We lost your camera.
Yeah. Okay. Let me switch to my just computer camera.
Or you can switch to Jakub.
The camera got too hot.
Yeah, it was too hot.
Yeah, it literally got too hot and shut down. Hold on.
Jakub, you can turn yours on as well if you want. That might be easy.
Yeah.
I think we're back.
Oh, good.
So yeah, but yeah, we're seeing steady growth. So hopefully we will continue, and as our MCP server improves and is actually able to perform these data heavy tasks, we expect to usage to continue to grow.
Yeah, I think it's currently the biggest blocker, the data heavy use cases. If you want to do like any serious scraping, it will fail hard because of the context length and how it works with the data.
Yeah. So like in terms of our total user base, it's like a fraction of it, right? But those people who are actually using our MCP server are like the people we want to kind of like go after, right? Those are like the vibe coders, the hackers, the people who are experimenting with it and need like the MCP to give to the agents to figure out like even like how to use Apify and how to connect these scrapers into some like meaningful workflows. Yeah.
Makes sense. Tell me about this. I know you guys talked about it yesterday when we were catching up, this state of the MCP survey that you wanted to put together.
Yeah. That's something we're planning to do to get like a sense of the MCP landscape, because I mean the growth of the protocol has been like explosive, right? I mean to this day there are like, I think more than 10,000 servers out there. A lot of like all the major software companies like have their own MCP server right now, pretty much. So we're actually looking for MCP developers to share their insights in building MCP servers with us. and if they are also willing to like provide the data from like if they have observability implemented to see like what is the breakdown, for example, of like clients and some other like data points. So if any of the viewers are interested in participating, since we're also like founding members of the Agentic AI Foundation, I think there will be some opportunity to like distribute this white paper through that to get some like visibility for the contributors. So please feel free to reach out to ai@apify.com, and I will send the survey and the requirements over to you.
Very cool. Yeah, if you send a link out too, we're happy to publish it when we put the videos up and stick it out.
Yeah,
great to see what you've got. And maybe if it was finished by the conference in April, it'd be cool to publish it around that time. Something to talk about there.
Yeah, that's our plan actually, to get this out this quarter. So I have the whole thing like prepared in a document. So I'm thinking I'm gonna turn it into some sort of a Google form where it's like easily shareable, and we can definitely put it in the video description.
Awesome. Darren, any questions? Anything you wanted to ask the guys?
No, I really like the CLI-based approach. I think it's a interesting kind of to see the it's like very kind of similar to the code mode, where it's like, just kind of take the MCP and turn it into a slightly different form, and then the discovery and stuff works much better.
Do you think you're getting to a point, Darren, where it's like the protocol is as much about sort of connecting as it is about what happens on the other side? That like this sort of innovation in the server side is kind of moving faster than the protocol, and so there's all these new approaches happening inside MCP servers, and really MCP is more about sort of an easy USB type plug to get sort of logic into the agent, because it does feel like there's like a lot of innovation happening in MCP land on sort of the execution side, like once it gets over through the the back and forth communication with the agent or with the chat client.
Yeah, like there's really just kind of this fundamental question of, because it's like the value of MCP is really just the definition of the services, and then how you actually consume the services. So code mode or CLI or directly giving it to the agent. Basically what we're figuring out is directly giving it to the agent is like only scales so far, but by wrapping it in another layer, we can kind of do more agentic stuff and whatever. So, but there's this really basic question that I don't really know the answer is like do we fundamentally need MCP interfaces for all the stuff that's out there, or do we just use the interfaces that already exist out there? And haven't quite figured it out yet, because I think like the most successful approaches where it's just like randomly talking to a bunch of things, MCP still seems to be the most practical because of the security, authentication, like those type of deals, where if you just use random APIs or libraries, like you could just vibe code, or you can just have AI generate a bunch of code, security just becomes a big problem. So MCP seems to shine a little bit on the fact that it has like some standardization around like security, so we can have a security boundary. But so I don't know. So that it's really like, I don't think the protocol really has to evolve much. It's like you guys are saying, there's like all these features in the client that like all the features in the clients that they don't support or whatever. And we're not seeing that change. Like we're not seeing much difference in traction, where it's like there's not a huge need for, like everyone supporting all the citations or whatever. MCP is kind of settled to a certain degree of like, well, it does really well for tool calling. And then like the most kind of growth, I think, of MCP as the protocol is going to be MCP apps, which is actually getting adopted. Like that was just announced yesterday, I think. Anthropic announced MCP app support for Claude. That was either yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just kind of like I kind of feel like MCP to a certain degree is like, well, it's serving its purpose very well, but there's all these other problems to kind of solve, and we're still working on all those other problems. but they're really not to be addressed in the protocol. They're really to better addressed at a slightly different layer.
It's as a consumer non-developer, it's the appeal is so high. I gotta be honest. Like the appeal of I want this thing, turn it on, and have it be work at and kind of any layer that I want it to, like whether it's a quick thing or it's a long-running task, or like have it be efficient, have it work. Like I think the pluggable apps, right? The pluggable data services, the pluggable anything into your agents, into your coding environments, into your whatever workflows, it's really appealing. And that's the part that it'll be really interesting if it's like, sure, how it gets implemented on the back end is going to modify, is going to change a lot, but your app stores type experience of finding MCPs that are useful that you can turn on OAuth into and then start getting value from, I think that's the thing we don't want, that really is important not to lose, because when you talk to business users and stuff, they totally get that. It makes perfect sense to them. Like, oh, cool. I'm working in an environment. I need it to talk to, I want to talk to a bunch of different things. Let me go plug those things in. And then now I can query them. Now I can automate with them. Now I can do something with them. This is valuable, man. It is really valuable. And I worry a little bit that sometimes the sort of technical implementation of how you make that work is getting confused for the fact that I don't really care what's on the other side of my USB plug. I just need I need that USB plug, because then I can take advantage of it and I can connect the two different pieces.
Yeah, I mean, and I think so. One of the things that's interesting about MCP is that when a company creates an MCP server, they have a very specific expectation it's going to be consumed by AI. So it's like, like kind of like they know exactly what's going out of that pipe. They know how, like they know the form of the data and all this stuff. So, because one of the problems right now with, like, let's say, web scraping or API access and stuff like that is companies, they start going, oh crap, I'm losing my data to AI or whatever, and then they start fighting back against it. So, like, one of the nice things about MCP is that it is like an agreement or a contract that's specifically for AI. So even as a business is exposing it, like exactly what that's going to be used for.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I still kind of, because there's just this debate, because I have it all the time from a technical perspective. It's like, well, does it really matter? Like, we could just do a code generation or whatever. But I think there's still a huge value for MCP of it's just that interface, being able to define it. Because like once it's there, then it's a very well-known thing. Because I know if there's MCP servers that exist today, it's very easy for me to just pick those up and use them directly. Even if they're not scalable, I can address the scale client side. I can do a lot of different things. And to be perfectly honest, most of the use cases that I see for MCP today don't have huge issues with the tool scalability. Like, that is a real problem, but a lot of people are still at a smaller number of tools. The data one is the much bigger one. It's the what do I do with large responses that come directly? And so if you don't put something in between MCP and the agent, then the data becomes a big problem.
It seems like, Jakub, you've dealt with exactly that. I mean, that's how you guys have approached it as well, is you're basically running these these tasks and stuff in your sandbox, right? Does I catch that right in how you've architected it?
Yeah, that's the idea, that you spawn the tool call, it runs in the background, and ideally in the future, when the client support will be there, you retrieve the only data that you want, and when it's finished. So that's the idea. Yeah. But we are not there sadly yet, so we'll see how the client adoption goes.
Hey, you guys mentioned MCP apps. Those seem like a pretty, I guess, exciting development. We actually are developing one right now for the OpenAI ecosystem, which we're going to hopefully launch soon. And then, we're hoping to roll it out to Claude as well, right? But yeah, I've played around with these too quite a bit, but from a user perspective, the UX is kind of clunky a little bit with most of them. So yeah, there needs to be some polish done with these as well. So, but
that's putting it mildly. I mean, most of these things are brutal. I've yet to find much value in them, and I love the idea, but I also have yet to find it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is this, because when you look at this MCP apps or whatever, is you too quickly get into what we know of apps today or whatever, of like, oh, a website or a mobile desktop, an app or whatever. You're kind of expecting something like that. Where what MCP apps is right now, like the kind of the simplest kind of definition of it is like it's just tool call visualization, where it's like when you call the LLM calls a tool, it can, instead of just returning back text to the LLM, it can actually show a visual thing. But it's like the intention of it is really to just make the conversation more visual and interactive. So like it fundamentally has to be something that's different. So it's like, because like we did like Nanobot or whatever, and I put like, a blackjack game in there, and it's like it doesn't really make sense. Like, you really want it in line with, so it's like it's just a whole different model. So I mean, it's clear. The two things that are clear is like chat's not going anywhere. Like ChatGPT is ridiculously popular and like it's not going anywhere. And chat gets better if you could visualize more information. So it's like it's definitely there, but like, is it going to be replace all apps? I don't know. I mean, because it was funny. Like I was listening to somebody talking about desktop user experience. And they pointed out that like as much as we all want to say like, oh, desktop or laptops, that's dying and everything's mobile and whatever, is desktop is not replaced. Like it's the only thing that's effective for productivity, like office, business, creative jobs. So it's like no, it's a perfectly viable form factor. Like there's no reason for it to die because we haven't found a better way to do that. Mm-hmm. So you look at chat is like, oh, well, chat just might be a different form factor, but just as like mobile has more applicable users and more applicable use cases, but it's kind of more limited in its form because it's a smaller screen. Chat might be even wider, but still limited to a certain degree, So it's like, yeah, I don't know that these things actually have to replace each other. They're different. No. But, but I was going to say, like, in terms of like you're thinking about long-term viability of MCP apps is like kind of the most strongest thing. That's where we're seeing kind of the most long-term viability of MCP. But it honestly makes sense because that was the primary use case. Was when the technology was first invented, it was like, well, I have a chatbot, I have like Claude Desktop, and I wanted to call tools. So that was the primary use case. Whereas like when we picked up MCP, like engineering in the back end, where we're already doing all these agentic workflows, we're like, oh, well, we could plug MCP into agentic workflows. And, people started picking it up there. But it kind of makes sense there, but like there's been little problems with it. But it wasn't the primary use case. Like the primary use case is actually just integrated with interactive chat. And so it's doing well there. So,
yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on today. It was great having you. Really nice to chat, and congrats on this. And really, especially thanks for sharing kind of your journey, because I think a lot of MCP developers who are trying to get adoption are seeing the same thing, which is that adoption is still more spotty than they were hoping, and they have had to really be careful when they push into all the new features because the feature adoption in the clients isn't real yet. It's not there. And so even though some of that stuff is really useful, if it's not in the clients, it's hard to get it, especially if it's not in the big clients that 90% of people use, it's hard to get it in there. So, hopefully, with apps and other things, maybe some of this stuff will be pulled along as well. It's certainly possible that as those things need to do more complex things, they might need some of these capabilities, which would require this clients to support them, whether that's elicitations or tasks or whatever. Mm-hmm. Guys, great having you. Thanks again. Stay warm out there in Prague. Thanks for staying up and staying late into the evening to hang with us. And Darren, thanks as always for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll be back again soon. Talk to you later.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And hope we see you on the some of the MCP summits.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you out in New York.
Yeah.
Cool. Take care.